Hello, everyone. It's so good to see you. I came somewhat ready today because I wanted to make sure that I could give you my full attention and really go in detail to the things that I think are the most important. And of course, we only have an hour, so I'm going to try my best to get it all in there. I want everyone to know that this is totally a judge-free space. If you are not comfortable with using makeup, now is the time to learn. Grab your stuff, grab your bag. If you hear something that you've never heard of before, ask questions. I love to just give as much information and detail as possible because I too was a beginner at one point in my life. And I was a bride very recently. So I have so much experience that a lot of makeup artists wouldn't have as a bride simply because I had a destination wedding. Because I had a destination wedding, I was unable to do a trial with the makeup artist who did my makeup. And because I'm a makeup artist, believe me, I contemplated doing my own work. I actually did want to do my own face, but I also knew that when planning a wedding, you have to plan for some of the things that can come up and happen that are unexpected. It's just life. There's going to be bumps. There's going to be hiccups. And I just wanted to have as little to worry about as possible. And for me, having someone else help me to get me ready that morning was so helpful. It's so early in the morning. You're tired. You just want to kind of sleep, and you can kind of just relax and keep your eyes closed while someone is doing your makeup. And that's really a very peaceful way to start your day. That could go, have a lot of ups and downs. Anyhow, a wedding in itself is all day long, and it can be exhausting, as fun as it is. My biggest regret was not having a trial. Now, it was hard because I couldn't see my makeup artist or meet with her before I had the opportunity to have my makeup done by her. But there was a lot of things that I know would have been different, and because she was super, super talented and she was very thorough and very detailed, but we just had different styles. And when you and your makeup artist have different styles, communication is so important. And from a client standpoint, I'm thankful that I had the education I have with makeup so that I was able to help guide my makeup artist while she was working on me, because a lot of brides don't know how to do that, and I'm here to help. So let's just get down to it. Grab your prep products. Skin prep is the most important thing for a bridal makeup because you're wearing makeup all day long. Your skin needs to be in the best shape possible. The prep really does start before the wedding. You should be taking care of your skin, maybe investing in some kind of exfoliant so that you can start getting rid of some of the dead layers of skin. That way, the day of your makeup, all of your moisturizer, all of your creams are really seeping into the skin and doing what they're supposed to do. As someone with dry skin, I've had a lot of situations where if I wasn't using some kind of a chemical exfoliant, every moisturizer I would put on would ball up on my skin, and it would make my skin shed and all over my body, not just my face. It was so difficult for me because I felt like I was so dry, and no matter how much hydration I was adding to my skin, it just wasn't seeping in. It was drying on top, and then it was flaking off. So the best thing you can do for yourself is to really invest in exfoliating, and do it once or twice a week to start out if you're brand new, but eventually you might end up liking it so much that you do it every day. It's one of my very favorite things. If you're interested in products for chemical exfoliation that's light and isn't going to disrupt your natural skin barrier, I highly, highly recommend Beauty RX, the 2-step progressive peel. Or if you're completely new to skincare, start with the 8% serum alone. That's going to do so much for you. So I also have some to-go spa pads on. These are just little under-eye pads that we sell at Blushington. They're all natural. They've got aloe. They also have a lot of marine life, like seaweed and different minerals from the ocean that really do a lot for the skin. So I highly recommend that. It keeps the under eye nice and hydrated. Next, we are going to talk about eye cream. You can't skip it. You shouldn't skip it any day, but especially on the wedding. This is by Beauty RX. It actually goes very well with the progressive peel that we just talked about. It's by the same company, Dr. Schultz. Really nice and gentle for the under eye area. It exfoliates any dead skin or layers of skin that kind of need to come up. The under eye is a very soft area, softer than the rest of your skin. and it needs a little extra care. You know, if you're doing your makeup yourself, more power to you. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Just make sure you practice a few times before the actual wedding day, because there's a lot to think about. It's not even just thinking about what colors you're going to use. It's about the style and what you think is actually going to go well with your dress. If I could give any advice to any brides that are here, my advice would be to do your trial or test out the hairstyles and the makeup styles that you're interested in when you go to your dress fitting, because you want to see exactly what you're going to look like. You want to make sure that your makeup matches with your aesthetic, because there's so many different kinds of brides out there. You know, are you getting married in Greece? Are you getting married on the beach? Are you getting married on a yacht? Are you getting married in Joshua Tree in the desert with the sand dunes? There's so many different things to think about with your makeup. It's not always just colors. It's climate, longevity, and obviously style. It needs to go with you. It needs to suit your face and your best features as well as your dress. So now I'm nice and moisturized. We're going to go in with a primer. This is by Herborian. I can't say enough about this primer, but I do have to say, think about your skin and your skin's needs. Your primer should not necessarily be what I'm using. Your primer should be something that is working specifically for your skin. We have so many different options here at Blushington, from clean beauty to color correction, like I'm doing here. And you can see already some of my redness is just diminishing very quickly. This is nice and green. You kind of look like the Hulk for a little bit when you first put it on, but it does really help to combat that redness. And if you're doing your own makeup, it also skips some steps for you in skin prep. It has SPF in it. If you are getting married at the beach, I can't stress how important that is. You should also look for a SPF for your whole body if you're going to be in that type of an element. If you're getting married in a church, if you're getting married in a garden, you're still outside. You're still outside. And Britt actually gave me this advice because I wasn't taking my own advice very well. And it's, can you grow a plant in your house? If you can grow a plant in your house, that means there's enough sunlight coming in through your windows to make the plant grow, which means there is enough sunlight to do things to your skin. So you should really always be wearing SPF. After I get on my primer, we're just going to go straight in. I have Brett's laughing, but it's so true. We're just going to go straight in with eye primer because I like to prep everything at once to make sure I didn't forget anything. Sometimes I do forget to do certain things, and then it's not until my makeup's already on and weird things are happening that I'm like, oh yeah, I skipped a step, didn't I? So I can't stress enough how important it is to use the correct primers. Here it is. This eyeshadow primer is from Anastasia of Beverly Hills. I find that it is really versatile. You can do a lot with it. It's really smooth. It's kind of creamy, but it mattes really well and it dries really well. I have really oily lids, so sometimes that's a problem for me. I just get a little bit of product and I just do a little bit. A little goes a long way. If you do have really, really oily lids and you don't use an eyeshadow primer or you don't have one, please think about getting one for your wedding. There's so many benefits to it, but number one, if you have oily lids, your makeup is going to crease no matter what. This product really does help block that from happening, and it also brightens the eye, so it kind of kills two birds with one stone. I don't have to like come back with a lighter shade of eyeshadow because this has already brightened me up. If it's not your skin tone, you can mix a little concealer in, and we're going to talk more about concealer a little later, but I am going to introduce it to you now. This is my favorite one. It's by Jouer. And it is the Ultimate Coverage Concealer. First of all, if you know me, you know I love Jouer, but this concealer is amazing. It's creamy enough to not sit in your fine lines, but it dries down fast enough and it mattifies enough to be used as an eyeshadow primer. And for someone with oily lids, that's saying a lot, because I typically can't mix a concealer in with my eyeshadow primer because the creaminess of the concealer is just too much with my extra special greasy lids. Oh, thank you. Yes, I did do something blue for my nails. I hope everybody likes them. It's for you guys. Once you have your eyeshadow primer on and it's nice and dried down, make sure it's even. Make sure you have enough coverage everywhere. I just noticed there was a little spot here that looked to have a little less than my right eye. So I filled that in, I fixed it. Now we have a really nice, good base to start out with. If you are really oily, go ahead and use a little bit of a soft focus powder, like from Jouer, or any face powder to kind of set that eyeshadow primer. If you don't have oily lids, you can skip this step. The eyeshadow primer is tacky enough to grab onto the shades really nicely. I also say this too, because sometimes translucent powder isn't really translucent, and it can kind of mess with the colors that you're using in your eyeshadow palette. So grab your brushes. I like to do skin first usually, but I found that there is something to allowing the skin prep products to really seep into your skin before you start doing your makeup. So I want everything to really absorb nicely, and I'm going to start working on my eyes. This also gives me the opportunity to come back and fix any potential mistakes that may have happened during the eyeshadow process. If I get fallout, if I get anything dark under the eye, this is not the day to sit there and add more powder or concealer and make the whole area gray. We want to look fresh and, stunning, fresh-faced for our wedding. I'm going to just go ahead and start with a fluffy 785 brush. If you don't have this brush, I believe Blushington sells it as a single brush, and it's pretty inexpensive, which I love. But Bridal is an amazing brand. We also have it in a brush set. So if you're going to invest in brushes and you need a lot, highly recommend the brush set. It comes with 14, and you're going to hear me talking about several of them today. So I'm going in with this Anastasia of Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette. It's very well loved. Don't judge me. We're going to go in with a little bit of this orange soda here. Now, this is a great shade for me because I have blue eyes, and that little hint of orange is really going to make the blue pop. But if you have brown eyes, reach for something similar to like the Dusty Rose or anything with like a little hint of like magenta or purple that's really going to bring that honey tone out of brown eyes. Or if you've got hazel eyes, you can always reach for a little bit of a more red toned nude shade, and that will bring out the green. So why am I using a fluffy brush? Because it's fluffy, and fluffy means blending. So I'm going to start in the outer corner, and I'm going to really start to drag some of this color. I guess I sweep. This is a sweeping motion that I'm doing. And I'm also holding the back of the brush to keep my hand light. And I'm going not too far close to my eyebrow, but just enough to give me a nice transition shade. Your transition shade is super important because it's what's going to blend the light and the dark colors that you're using together to create that pretty gradient effect that we all want to achieve. So because this is orange soda, it's very orange, it's peachy, it kind of goes with my skin tone a little bit. It's got a little bit of a red shade to it. It's like a red orange, yellow orange. There we go. Give you a little color theory. How do you make orange, yellow, and red? So that's why this is looking so nicely on my skin. I'm going to do the same on the other eye. You want to make sure you have the same amount of product on both sides. It's easier said than done. But a trick that I learned in the Blushington Academy was how to really manage how much product I'm getting on my brush and how much I'm getting on my client or on myself. And so again, we're doing this nice sweeping motion, starting at the outer corner, going all the way up to the highest point of our eye. You'll notice my crease is all the way down here. Your transition shade should come up above your crease. I'm not good with math, but however, like a couple of centimeters, I would say, higher than your crease. Now that we've got a really nice transition shade, we can start packing on the colors elsewhere. And we're going to change brushes because, again, a fluffy brush is for blending, making things look soft and like a nice, pretty cloud. And your more dense brushes are meant to really pack on the pigment and really give you the definition that most brides are looking for in their photos. So the brush I am using here is also a Bridal brush. I know that it comes in the brush set, but the name has rubbed off. So just a brush that's nice and dense is going to be great for you. You can tell when I push on it, it doesn't change shape. It doesn't like move. It's really nice for this. And next I'm going into the shade Rustic. Not the deepest brown that we have, but it is nice and cool toned. So I'm mixing the warm tone from the orange and a little bit of the cool tones together. And I'm really packing on that color where I want it. And you can see, look how nice and deep that pigment is. If you are unsure of how much pressure to apply to your face or how much pigment to put on, there's no shame in putting a little on the back of your hand so that you can see what the payoff is going to be. Once you get it where you want it, you're going to start to tap. The closer you hold your brush, the more, I guess, pigment is going to come off because you're being a little bit rougher. The further back you hold your brush, the lighter the blend is going to be. So once you get the pigment where you want it, you can kind of come back on your blend a little. And again, if you are questioning where your crease is or you don't know where your crease is, it is when you kind of feel where your eyeball ends and your brow bone begins, that's where it is. I'm just going to continue to blend that pigment out. Now you'll notice I'm only keeping it on the outside corner of my eye. Not everybody has to do that. I would suggest really researching your eye shape if you're not already aware of it, or maybe taking a makeup class so that you could get more comfortable with your bone structure, because your bone structure is really going to tell you everything that you need to do. But for me, I have very close set eyes. And so I want to make it look like my eyes are a little bit bigger. I don't mind taking this dark shade through my lashes, but I do want to leave my lid nice and bright. And being very gentle once I get towards the middle of the eye, not to let that deep color drop lower than my crease. If I get it too low on the crease, it could make my eye look a little smaller. We want my eyes to look as big as possible. So once you have the basic area of where you want your eyeshadow to be, and you start to see a shape coming, that's when you're going to start to blend things out a little bit more. And if you're a novice or you're just starting in makeup, or you've never done makeup prior to this, sometimes it helps to have a clean brush on hand. So I highly recommend having something clean. This is a 777 from the Bridal brush roll. And I'm coming right up to the top where I see a little bit of a line of a demarcation, and I'm going to start to blend downwards and a little bit at an angle going towards my eyelashes. The reason for this is because if I mess up, if I make a mistake, we're all human and we all make them, I would much rather have color and pigment down in my lash line where I'm blending towards than if I go this way and it starts to balloon into my eyebrow. And I'm being very quick. I'm just doing that same sweeping motion. And then I'm going to pat any area that I want the pigment to stay and I want the definition to remain, but I want it to blend without moving the color away from the area. I'm just going to pat at it. Pat, pat, pat. You'll start to see that gradient building and coming to life. You can always come up underneath the eye to make sure you're keeping things nice and uplifted. Before you know it, you've got a pretty detailed eye. So I'm going to go really fast on the other side. Don't mind me. But if you want to watch closely, it's the same situation. We are going to start in the outer corner of the eye. We're really going to push that pigment into the skin. And we're going to make sure that we bring it up above our natural crease slightly without getting it into our eyebrow. And if anyone has questions, please shout them out. Would love to hear about your bridal experiences, or if you're trying this with me for the first time, tell me what's going on. Again, I'm pulling some of that color towards the inner corner of my eye, staying away from the middle of the eye to keep that part nice and bright, and making sure that I keep that color up above my natural crease. So to be completely honest with you guys, I didn't love my makeup for my wedding. And that is something that I won't wish upon anyone, not even my biggest enemy. I don't think I have enemies, but if I did, I wouldn't wish for them to not enjoy their makeup on their wedding day. I really didn't like my makeup. I had to redo a lot of it. Because I did communicate quite a bit with her, but I feel like she did a lot of stuff without asking me how I felt about it. That's another thing for my brides. Let your artist know in your trial, hey, I really want to be involved in creating my look. Even if you don't really know what you're doing, that's okay. Just let them know that you want to be involved. And I highly, again, recommend a trial, because me not being happy with my makeup would have been solved had we had the time to do a trial and discuss what it was that I didn't like about it. But she just went ahead and did what she wanted to do, and then was like, ta-da! And I'm like, oh, what do I do? I have 5 minutes left, So that's what you want to avoid. You want to make sure you give yourself enough time for anything that happens. I find that as a makeup artist, a lot of my brides will be like, oh, I would like to sleep in and I really need my beauty rest. So I want you to come and get me ready at 10 o'clock and I need to be gone by 11. And you're like, oh, okay. So we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we have enough time just in case anything wrong happens, because something wrong always happens, not necessarily with the makeup, but sometimes a bridesmaid's not there in time, or sometimes someone got a flat tire on the way somewhere. So it's just really important that you allot for things to go wrong. And if they don't go wrong, great. You're not stressed. You're relaxed. You're having a good time. You look like Beyonce. Who could complain? But if you get into a situation where you wanted to sleep in a little bit more and now your makeup artist is like, wait a minute, that is not possible for me to get that look done in this amount of time, that's not going to be fun. Oh, love. So as you can see, it's starting to come together. What I want you guys to pay attention to is how much product is on which side. So you can see that I need to add just a little bit more here to make it look like the other side. And since I already blended where I want it, I can go ahead and just pack on more color if I need to. Remember, I brought a little bit of this shade Cypress Umber into my lash line too. Airbrush, do I recommend airbrush for bridal makeup? That is a great question. It depends on you. If you have really oily skin or you have skin that needs some extra coverage and you have texture that you don't want to show under that extra coverage, highly recommend airbrush. If you don't have a lot of texture and you don't have oily skin, I'm going to be honest, you can get the same exact kind of makeup with just like a beauty blender and a brush. So again, I'm going in with my clean brush. I'm going to go ahead and clean up the outside corners, lift my eye. There we go. Now it's time for liner. Liner can smell your fear. So be quick, be short, be sweet. On a really hot day, and if you have T-zone oil, you can do airbrush. You can also do a thin veil of a translucent powder, kind of like a primer, right after your primer. And it creates a nice little barrier between you and your makeup. So that way, if you do start to sweat, if stuff starts to come up, there's more than one barrier there to help you out. But yes, eyeliner can smell your fear. So you want to make your time with the liner as short and quick as possible. I highly recommend looking, if you've done liner before, and you feel like you've just failed, welcome to the club. Even as a makeup artist, I still have times where I'm like, oh, I have a little more hooded today than I was yesterday. And I don't know, I'm just struggling to get my makeup on. And that happens to the best of us. But my best advice is to take your time, but don't spend so much time where you're like spending 3 hours on it. Just start to move on to something else if that begins to happen, because you will just get frustrated to the point where you want to give up. Or you'll keep going until you look like a panda bear. Either way, it's not fun. So this is Stila Smudge Pot. I love this stuff. It's ultra waterproof. Since I've been using it since I started working for Blushington in 2015. And when I tell you that I have yet to find an eyeliner that does the same things, I am not kidding. I've tried a lot of eyeliner. I myself have watery eyes, so I do have to do a little bit of a different technique than some people to keep my eyes from smudging and getting wild. I am taking brush 710. So this brush does come in the full brush set, but you can also use other brushes. You can also do 762, depending on what you're comfortable with. And they do even make smaller brushes out there. I'm always on the hunt for really good liner brushes, but the smaller your brush, the smaller the mistakes you're gonna make. So big brush, big mistakes, little brush, little mistakes. You can always add more, but it can be sometimes very difficult to take away. And we've all added too much eyeliner at some point in our lives. So let's try and get through this quick. Let's find our bottom water line and pretend as if it never stopped. It just kept going up into your eyebrow. Where would that line be? I personally like to do a winged liner. Nobody has to do a winged liner, but I am going to just do a little flick at the end. I feel like a full wing is a lot for bridal, but I do want to elongate my eyes a little bit and make them look a little larger. So my liner does need to extend a little bit past my natural eye. No, you're not alone. Everyone's afraid of eyeliner. Because it's like that moment where you're like, okay, hold your breath. If I screw up here, it could be the end. So with winged liner, I have a little technique. You start in the bottom, you make your first line. Don't think of it as eyeliner. Think of it as a triangle. And again, I'm bad at math, so I can't remember what exact kind of triangle you would be thinking of, if it was obtuse or whatever the different kind of triangles are. But you want to make a triangle that is long and then comes in. So I made my first line of my triangle. I'm really rolling my brush in the Smudge Pot product. If you want to see what it looks like, it does help for those of you who have fear of eyeliner. It's nice and smudgy, and it's like a gel, kind of like a creamy pot of love. I don't know what else to explain it as, but it's great because it's like the perfect mix between a waterproof liner and a pencil, I guess. Yeah. Because a waterproof liner can run on you if you're not careful. And if you have a hooded eye, forget it if you blink. Always stay really close to your natural lash line. I really don't add a lot of volume to the top of my eye. If you have the lid space for it, by all means, go for it. I wish I had lid space to do that. You can pull your eye taut if you need to stretch out any like texture. I do have a little bit of crepiness going on in my eye area, especially where I do liner. But make sure you're not lifting your eye to the point where it's going to be a new shape when you let go. And then also my fun tip is with this brush in particular, I actually like to come underneath my eyelashes. I'm blonde and I kind of don't have, it looks like I have no eyelashes at all when I don't have any mascara on. So I want to make sure that there's no gaps. I want to make sure there's no pink showing through. And because of the shape of my eye, not all of us can take extra structure on the top of our lash line. Your eyeliner style is totally up to you and what, makes you comfortable. But I personally am not comfortable with a lot of product in the inner corner. So I don't take my liner past, I would say, 3/4 of the inside of my eye. And it keeps it from transferring too. Because if I take it all the way in, it's going to end up all underneath my eye later. And it doesn't matter how waterproof it is. So advice, you're going to be crying a lot. Don't take your eyeliner all the way down. Take it like almost all the way down. And you can use eyeshadow to fake the rest of it. Always make sure you come underneath your wing or your flick, whatever you want to call it, so that, again, there's no pink. To further satisfy my need for perfection, I will take my Stila smudge stick and I will come in here and I will get my waterline. And there you go. Love. Let's see if we can get the other side on. Oh my gosh, guys, and we're only 36 minutes in. I'm so proud. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and start on the other eye. I'll try to replicate it for you guys, but because my mirror is, well, maybe I can move my mirror. There we go. There we go. So again, I'm coming right underneath the waterline, making my first line of my triangle. Thank you. It took me years of like eyeliner everywhere to get to this point. So I promise you're capable of getting there. It just takes some practice. And also, none of us have the same shaped eye on both sides, and that doesn't help. So make sure you're looking right in the mirror, like dead on, straight across, like make sure you're making eye contact with yourself and make sure that the light is coming from you from a good, decent angle. You don't want it behind you, but it's important for you to be able to see how even your liner is. You're not going to get even liner if you try and just follow the shape of your natural eye, because just like our eyebrows, our eyes are sisters, not twins. And in some cases, like mine, I don't even know if my eyes are cousins. Let's get real. One eye is like so round and the other one is like so sleepy. So we're here. We have this line. It gives you a good template to see what you're doing. You can come to the top of it, straighten it out a bit. And there you go. We already have the beginning of that. Now let's go ahead and finish filling in the rest of the liner. Also, I don't make it look easy. It's the product. I promise you, if you try the Smudge Pot, your life is going to be changed. It does take a little time to get used to because it sets really fast. So if you're working too slowly and it dries, you're going to struggle. But if you get it on fast, you will be okay. The good thing is it doesn't bleed into the, like I said, I have a little bit of crepey texture on my eyes. So if I use a liquid eyeliner, forget it. It's all over. The other reason that I tell people to stay as close to their lash line as possible when doing their eyeliner is because, again, if one eye comes up higher than the other and you need to make your eyeliner a little bit taller on one side, like here, then you can do that. But if you start following your natural eye shape and then you're like, uh-oh, one of my eyes is so round and the other is so long, what do I do? Well, you can fix it, but it's going to take some more time. Again, with the eyeliner, I don't like to come all the way in to the inner corner just because it can very quickly transfer to the bottom of my eye. And now we're going to go, after we've done the top, now we're going to go underneath the lash, my natural lashes, and I'm going to try and perfect it. Great. So already you can see this eye is a little less round. So I do need to add a little height to the top here. I'm going to smooth this liner out. Much better. And then the biggest thing I noticed, and what everyone notices, number one, we got to go in and finish our tight line. And that's a big mistake is I see people, they'll be like, oh, I can't get this line right. I can't get this line straight. So let me just, stop and focus on this one feature for 3 hours. And that's what's going to make you late to everything. Trust me, been there. But usually you just get it to where you can get it the best you can, and then go back and fix your mistakes so that you don't leave with a half of a wing on. I'm taking a little Bioderma. This is, we sell this at Blushington. I drink this stuff. I go through it so fast. It's the most gentle makeup remover you'll ever meet. And I like to get just a little bit on my brush. This is the 762 brush. It's an angled brush. So this is really going to cut your liner nicely. And you don't want to get your brush wet with the makeup remover, but you do want to get it damp. And you're going to come underneath it, and you're going to cut it if it's not nice and sharp already. Like this one, always I'm able to get it nice and sharp perfectly with no effort. The other, this is my problem die, as you can see. So we all have one. Oh, hey, Ellen. Hey, Rashmi. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love seeing you guys here. I haven't seen Rashmi in forever. She came through the Blushington Academy to learn how to do makeup and so many other looks. If you are interested in learning how to perfect your makeup. I'm not kidding. And I'm not just saying this because I teach one of the classes. I'm only one of the instructors. Britt is amazing. She's here today. She's taught me so much. There we go. And I love it. Now, I think it's the lighting in here. I have less lighting on one side, so this side looks a little darker, but I don't like that. So I am going to come back and I'm going to take my eyeshadow and I'm going to try to kind of make it in the shape of my little flick at the end. There we go. Oh, thank you, Rashmi. I learned so much from you too. That's the great thing about the Academy is it's all people who are sharing their knowledge. Of course, we have a curriculum and of course we go over really important things that every artist needs to know, but it's really important to share your knowledge with your fellow artists too. So at the beginning, we started with this nice fluffy brush. Now we're going to come in and we're going to go back, blend everything out so it looks nice and pretty. And then my all-time favorite is the Bodyography Off the Hook glitter. Oh my gosh. I like to use it with my finger, but I can't get my nails in there anymore. So we're gonna use a brush to scoop some of it out onto my palette, and then I'm gonna use my finger. Why do I use my finger? I wish I could give you a scientific reason for it, but for some reason, it just looks better with your finger. That's the only thing I can say. Maybe it's the warmth from your hand. I don't know, but I'm going to tap this onto my finger. I feel like it really does help. You can see it right there. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, right in the center of the eye, I'm going to add a little more. I'm just pushing it onto my lid. You can see it starting, like, it's weird. It's like a different product. It's one of the only biodegradable cosmetic glitters out there, and it's the only of its kind. It's a glitter pigment. So it's a glitter, but it works as a pigment, which is why I think the warmth from your hand kind of helps a little. But of course, if you're struggling to, like me, I have nails, I struggle to get in the inner corner there with my finger, you can always use your brush. And I'm actually using the number 542 from the brush set, the 14-piece roll. So I'm going to go in here and really make sure that I get that on the inner corners of the eye. Now, this may not be your perfect bridal look. That is okay. If you are a beach bride, you might want something less. You don't have to do a top liner if you don't want to. You can just use something really nice and smoky. There's really sky's the limit when it comes to style. But these are just some of my favorite techniques. And I got on here with brows because they take me a little longer, especially for bridal brows. And let me explain why. If you're used to doing your brows with a pencil, try doing your brows with, just try it. Try to do your brows with a pencil and a powder, because for longevity reasons, the powder is really going to help out a lot. It's going to set your brow, keep them from moving in place. If you're somebody who does sweat, or if you have more of an oily T-zone, then you can't avoid your eyebrows getting kind of smudgy. So I do have to recommend that. Now, if you do ever like mess up, like I tried to mess up or fix my eyeliner here a little bit, you can always use a little concealer or something to go in and fix it. Just make sure that after you fix the line, like I'm about to do, then you go in and you put down some more eyeshadow over top so it doesn't look funky. There we go. See that one? This eye is always giving me problems, but now it's better. Now it's time for the face. So we've already prepped our skin. I was very lucky not to get anything underneath here. I do like to do more of a drop shadow and stuff, but I usually wait till my face is completely on for that. So I'm going to do a step you're probably going to think I'm crazy for, but this is the Illuminati Nude Stick Nudies All Over Face Color. So it's actually a highlighter. You can use it in so many ways. I like to warm it up. And some people like to mix it with their foundation. I highly recommend mixing it with your foundation. For me, since I'm so dry, I'm just going to go ham and put it all over my face. You can do this with a lot of other products too, by the way. What does this do? It gives you the all over glow that most brides go for. If you're oily, skip this step. You do not need that. You'll be fine. But you can add a little radiance still, at least in the cheek areas or the areas where you're not super, super oily. Next, I'm taking Nude Sticks. This is one of the newer foundations that we've gotten here at Blushington. One of my favorite products. A little goes a long way. It has a nice little pump on the top of it. It's a buildable foundation, so you can still get that full coverage look very easily. You can do this with a beauty blender. You can do this with a makeup brush. I am using just a regular sponge, but your tools are up to you. I like to base my tools off of my skin. So practice, like I said, practice your makeup a couple of times and see what happens. If something weird is happening when you're using a brush, maybe it's time to try a beauty blender. If something weird's happening with your beauty blender, maybe it's time to try a brush, or maybe it's time to look into other methods like tapping it on with your hands, or a disposable sponge, or maybe even a silicone sponge. And of course, someone mentioned it earlier, there's also airbrush. But I firmly believe that you can look airbrushed without an airbrush. And if you know me, some of you do, airbrush is my specialty. So if I say that, it means a lot. And look how, it's buildable, but look how that goes on. Do you guys see that? It looks like my skin. And that is what that Nudies Glow will do for somebody who has really dry skin. If you really struggle with flaky areas of the face and you feel like sometimes your makeup doesn't do what you want it to do, try putting on a highlighter underneath. And by now, all of my skin prep products are soaked into my face. They're not just sitting on my skin. I'm really a big fan of the glass skin trend. Here's a tip for my brides. If you're wearing an updo, please bring your foundation to your ears. Nobody wants to see pink ears on a yellow face. It just looks weird. So make sure you get those ears. And also make sure you get your neck. I shouldn't have to say that, but with an updo, if you're not wearing a veil or something that's behind you, make sure you actually bring your foundation all the way to kind of the back of the neck or the nape of the neck, because you don't want to take any photos and be able to see a line from where your foundation on your neck has started or stopped. Another piece of advice that I can give is if you are getting a tan, or if you self-tan yourself, or if you're just making your makeup look a little bit more tan and bronze than normal to give you a little bit of a pick-me-up, make sure you also bring that tan into your hairline, and make sure you bring it onto your the part of your hair, because you're going to look kind of funny considering tans are usually gotten outside and the sun is up here. You'd be a little weird looking if your like whole body was tan, but you had like a stark white strip of skin showing in your hair. So make sure you add a little love there too. Yeah, but you know it's true. You know it's true. You've all seen it. You've also, it's like, oh, you got a tan on your face, but not the top of your head. That makes sense. You know, and my goal is for, just like Beyonce, for us all to feel like we woke up like this. So try to keep it as natural as possible by making sure every part of your skin that is showing is going to be the same color. So I'm not a full coverage girl myself. I typically wear a tinted moisturizer. Oh my gosh, I can't blend here and talk at the same time. I usually wear a tinted moisturizer, but for a wedding, you need extra staying power. You need to go a little more full coverage. I'm not saying go completely full coverage, but you do need a lot more, a lot, because most weddings, the photos are usually not in a studio, so your photographer cannot control lighting. If you don't have enough blush on, if you don't have enough bronzer on, you're going to look like a ghost with no facial features. I promise. Next is a little color correction. Oops. Forgot to grab this. Here it is. This is by Stila. This is my favorite color correcting product. It's well loved. Don't judge me. We've got lots of colors here. And the fun thing is if you're not a professional artist, it does actually tell you on the back, like what to do, which is super helpful to have a little bit of a guide there. So I'm going to come in here with my concealer brush, number 936 in the brush roll. And I'm coming in with a little bit of this peachy pink shade. Color theory is a whole monster. If you're interested in learning color theory, I have to tell you, you need to go to the Blushington Academy. There's a whole lesson on it. I would be here forever, though, explaining. So I'm just going to get into a little bit of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't want to put it in my lines here because it's creamy product, so it's going to sit there. So I'm just going to do a little bit. I also have a little bit of a pimple going on here, so I'm going to take a little bit of the green to get rid of that. But first I'm going to finish blending this. So I pretty much put the color underneath the natural curvature of my eye, or the natural area where I crease. And I make sure it's blended. And I do the same on the other side. Why do we do this? Because if you're getting flash photography done, or if you're in a lot of lights, guess what? That light and that flash is going to go right through your makeup, and you're just going to see gray. Because what happens when you put something lighter over something dark, you get gray. And nobody wants gray. Take a little bit of this green, put it on the pimple I have right here. And you can do color correction underneath your foundation as well. I actually do that a lot. But because I did the technique of putting the highlighter all over my face, I knew that was just going to blend everything all over the place once I went in and blended my foundation. So that's why I did what I did today. Now that that's all nice and blended out, we're going to go in with our concealer. I'm using the Jouer Ultimate Coverage in shade Toast. It really is ultimate coverage, but it's very nice and lightweight. It's very creamy. And then I'm going back with my concealer brush. And I'm just going to go over top of it. I ran out of my favorite shade, so I do have to mix a little bit. think it's going to be okay. There we go. I'm also going to go anywhere else where I want more coverage or just more light in general to look like it's hitting my face. So I do like a little more coverage here on my nose. That's the other thing about being full coverage. You don't have to be full coverage everywhere, okay? You do need more for your wedding, but you don't need to be everywhere full coverage. Just the areas that really are of concern to you. Remember, you want it to be on your face all day long. And my nose sweats. I don't know about you, but my nose sweats. And I do need a little bit more of a barrier there. Because I have a round face, I also want to bring length to my face. So I'm going to highlight the very tip of my chin to make me look a little longer. And I'm going to go as high up as possible on my forehead to, again, make me look a little bit longer. And now we blend. You can use the same brush that you've been using. I do have a little discoloration around my mouth, but I feel like my foundation was enough coverage that I didn't need to go in crazy. We're just about time for our class, but I am almost done, I promise. So if you want to bear with me, I would love for you to bear with me. It's a lot of steps in an hour. It's your wedding day, so it's like you have to be perfect. Takes a little longer. And notice how there are areas of my eyeshadow that weren't completely blended out. And that's okay because I'm blending here and it's going to fix it anyway. So
it's 5 o'clock.
I apologize. That is Siri. So your concealer can give you extra coverage where you want it without putting it all over your face. And again, I go a little bit around my mouth because I do have a little bit of discoloration. Now I'm happy, but I look a little bit like an egg. So let's put some structure into this face. Next, I'm pulling out my 942 contour brush. It does also come in the Bridal brush set, and I'm taking my cream blush by Stila. It's called Lilium, I believe. I love this product. Again, very well loved. So I use my finger for this. It's cream. I recommend using a cream and a powder blush and even maybe contour if you are getting married, just because it's extra longevity. That's a really, really great question. Is it Sherry or is it Cherry? I love both of those names. Cherry. Yes, that's so cute. So I would recommend staying away from using colors that are in your bridal colors because, maybe your favorite color is the same color that you would put on your face. But sometimes our favorite color is not always the color that's going to suit our face and our tone best. I think that playing off of your hair and your skin is the best thing to do when it comes to choosing colors for your makeup. Oh, setting. Yes, definitely base it off of your setting. 100%, because your makeup's going to change too. If you're getting married at the beach, again, you're going to want more SPF. You're also going to want to use a setting spray that's not sticky, because if it ever gets windy at the beach, how many here have had lip gloss on and had your hair or something get stuck to your face, or sand, good Lord forbid. So I would highly recommend, testing out what your setting and your climate is going to be. If you're somewhere where like the desert, it's going to be really, really dry. So it's important for you to know what you're going to be going into. You're going to sweat probably, but you also want to hydrate because it's dry weather. If you're in Florida, it's very humid. So you need a lot of mattifying products. And then, of course, if you're getting married at the beach, I can imagine you probably didn't decide to wear a giant ball gown because that's going to just trudge up all the seaweed, all the sand, who knows what's under there. Versus if you're getting married somewhere else, you know, you might be able to pull off a ball gown. And of course, if you've got a really big dramatic dress and really big dramatic hair, your makeup should too be dramatic or it's going to fade away in your photos. Same system. If you're getting married on the beach and you've got something really, really light and you're just doing loose waves, it would look kind of funny if you came in with like Amy Winehouse wings, right? So and make sure that your makeup matches your aesthetic. Lastly, for the face, I put a little bit of this cream blush on, and I will come back with a powder blush later to top it off. But I'm going in with my Jouer bronzing and contour palette. It's got 2 shades of bronze, which is perfect for a wedding because you need bronze and contour. And then you come right into the hairline. That's at least where I like to start. And again, I have a round face, so you might do something different if your face shape is different than mine. But if you too have a round face, you're going to want to shave off the sides a little bit. And if you don't know where to place your contour, you can always put like a pen or something up towards your ear. And it actually gives you like a stencil. So if you don't have any clue what you're doing, I highly suggest this because this is going to give you that nice contour up above your ear so it doesn't look like it's dragging your face down. If your contour comes below your earlobe, you're really going to start to look, you know, kind of like you're sleepy on one side. Notice how I'm really pushing the product into the skin to blend it. Now, when I let go, I've got that nice contour here. And I can just accentuate it. Same on the other side. Thank you so much, Abigail. They actually call me the Glow Pro. Fitting for this makeup. I'll go ahead and bring it down the side of my face. I like Glowtastic though too. I think I'm gonna use that. So as you can see, I'm looking less and less like an egg. I've got some structure to my face now. I'm not all just one color. And again, you can give yourself a little stencil here. And you just push the product into the skin, bring it up into the hairline. It looks like my blush is really bright, but I have to admit it's just really hot in my room right now, or in my office right now. So I will take it down a little later. But that's another thing to think about. If you know you're going to get really red because you're in the desert, then you may want to like use a blush that's a little more bronzy and less pink so that you don't look like you're overheating at the altar. Next, we're going to come down and we're going to take care of this high definition neck. I would like a better neck. So I'm just going to give myself one. I don't have bones that show anymore. So we're just going to turn our head to find the natural indent in our neck. And we're going to do the other way too, right? Turn again and follow the neck. And now you have, oh, look, I look like I lost like 5 pounds. You can't go wrong there. Oh, yes. And then same thing on the other side. You turn the head, you look for the natural indentation on the neck. It's kind of behind the ear. So you want to start behind the ear, and then you want to follow that natural indentation. And then again, down the middle. And because I have a little bit of you know, I need a little help in this area, we're going to also come underneath the chin that we've highlighted. We are going to really exaggerate and accentuate where my jaw is, or where it was. Fluffy brush, same contour or bronzer. Really loading up the brush here. And then we're gonna come down to where the natural indentation of the brow is. We're gonna follow all the way down. This is not to change the shape of your nose. I think everyone is born with a beautiful nose, and I don't think it needs to be changed. But this is to make me look more 3D in my picture. So when you look at a painting, you know that they're kind of 3D. They have shading in a lot of areas. You want to look the same way on your wedding day, like a painting. So you're just gonna follow that. Now, of course, if you want to do a little something extra, you could make it longer or shorter, all that good stuff. I'm going to put a little bit here to make it look like I have a bit more of a ball on my nose, but otherwise, I don't need too much help. I'm going to make sure that I use my bronzer to blend out anything extra that looks like it needs a little extra blending because it matches with what I'm already wearing. And then we're going to come in with a little bit of powder. I use the Jouer Soft Focus powder. It's such a lifesaver. And I have to recommend not going in with something. I think you should use like a fluffy brush. That's my advice. Because you need something smaller too. Like a lot of people will grab like this giant brush for face powder, but we don't want that much powder. I want to be purposeful with what I'm doing. And it's also important to know the difference between a finishing powder and a setting powder, okay? They are different. They do different things. A finishing powder is going to blur lines and things like that, but a setting powder is what's really going to hold the longevity of your makeup. And as you can see, I'm still a little extra shiny because I put some of that highlighter on my face, but adding a little bit of this face powder is gonna soak that up. And you always want to get the nasolabial fold around the nose because we all sweat there. I sweat above my lip. If you're wearing a lip of any kind, you don't want it to bleed. Remember where I put that highlight earlier? Oh, yeah. Pretty much you just make a little rainbow from the top of your forehead if you want to make it look longer. If you want to make it look shorter, then you're going to come in more with the bronzer. If you want to take a one-on-one class with me, you totally can. Or you can come through the academy, whatever you want to do. But I love makeup and I love teaching other people how to do their own makeup because there's nothing like seeing somebody happy and proud of themselves for accomplishing something amazing and having fun doing it. Now, I don't think I'm gonna have time to show you guys how I do lashes today, but stay tuned on my Instagram because I will show a photo with my lashes on. If you don't know how to do lashes, my advice is to cut them in half, or at least start practicing cutting them in half. You can use whatever lip liner you want for your day, but I highly recommend using one. And my favorite tip for lining the lips is to underdraw the sides of the lip and really focus on giving that pout to the top and the bottom to give you some height. If you smile, it stretches out your lips, all the lines, so it makes it easier to get a good lip line. And then the lipstick that I'm using is the Galactic in shade Posh. Got to get myself a little disposable. Obviously, you guys don't have to do this if you're working out of your own makeup. You really want to blend your liner together with the lip color you're using. So just like your eyeliner, lips are not always the same. You may have to come back and clean them up. Don't spend 3 hours trying to make them perfect. You can just come back and clean it with a flat brush. This is shade Posh by Galactic. I absolutely love this color. It's a little deeper than my normal nude, I will be honest, but I like it. Now for lips, totally up to you what you want to do in terms of formula. But a stay all day is the only thing that's going to stay all day, like a liquid lipstick. However, if you don't want to have to worry about making a mess when you eat and things like that, or maybe you don't have a makeup artist to stay with you all day to touch those kinds of things up, then I highly recommend just a liner and like a gloss or a creamy lipstick that you can touch up with on your own. Something that's going to be comfortable, something that's not going to get everywhere. Because you may be feeling fine until they start the toasts. And then you don't want to have all these pictures with like your lipstick everywhere. Thankfully, it's your wedding, so people will be nice and be like, hey, you got a little something, you know. They'll tell you, unlike regular everyday life where you could just be walking around with lipstick on your teeth and nobody says anything. Awesome. And a little more thickness here. Again, same as your eyes, you want to stare straight in the mirror so that you can get a good idea of what's going on. And then, you know, my favorite trick is the angled brush with a little bit of makeup remover. You don't have to do too much makeup remover on this situation because you already have makeup on underneath, so it will glide a little easier. But just to clean up those lines. And that is it, my friends. You obviously need mascara and some eyelashes, but I'm going to be putting my lashes on and taking some photos. These are the lashes that I've chosen. They're by Bridal. We sell them here at Blushington. They're absolutely amazing. And I cut them. You can see where I cut them. I cut the very last part of it. My best advice here for lashes. When you cut your lashes, count how many lashes you cut on one side and make sure that you cut them on the other. The biggest mistake I see is someone will have eyelash on one side that looks perfect, and then the other side will be like hanging off of their eye. It's too long for them. So make sure that you always cut your eyelashes. And thank you so much, Frey. I hope you guys enjoyed the class. If you have any questions, please let me know. I am going to go ahead and do my lashes and post it on Instagram. but I think we're out of time for today. So I hope that you all enjoyed my bridal look. If you have questions about anything, please let me know.
Thank you so much, Sloane. You look incredible.
Thank you. You guys like my glow?
I think I speak telepathically for everybody on the call that this is absolutely amazing. I can't wait to see Instagram blow up with your look. Just to let everybody know, we did drop the discount code here in the chat. So for anybody interested in purchasing these products featured today, you can use code Sloane10 at checkout. That's on blushington.com. Every single product that we have used today has been dropped in the chat, but we also do a little post-class emails that will come through in your email inboxes within the next 24 hours. Before we completely close out the call, we did get a couple questions DM Sloane while you just finish up the look. But the first one that came through was regarding the Fun Nude Sticks Nudies highlighter that's brand new to Blushington. So you used it under the foundation. This person asked, could you put the highlighter stick over the foundation or will it pull on it?
No, you can absolutely put it on underneath the foundation. Let me show you actually a little bit. So for me, if I wanted to do an extra glow or maybe I skipped it, you can always use your finger. I feel like that helps it blend a little bit. And also because here's my thing, this is a stick. If you have foundation on and you go like this, the whole part of your this is going to turn into the color of your foundation eventually, right? So I like to either shave a little off or use the warmth from my finger. And you can just go on and tap it on to the area of there. I'm going to add some to my lip. And look how nice oh my gosh, I love it on the lip. Wow. I really love that. And then you can always add a little extra to the areas of your face that you want extra definition. You can go ahead and tap it onto your cheekbone, underneath the eyebrow. And the cool thing, though, about putting it under your foundation is if you have a mattifying foundation or if you need to use powder, it helps take any excess shine off. So you just look really radiant. You don't look sweaty.
Incredible. And then the last question that we had that was DM'd was in regards to airbrush, which you are the queen of. If anybody has gotten the privilege to see Sloane's Instagram, that's at the.glowpro. You'll see that she knows her airbrushing tools. So this person asked, when you airbrush, how far away should I be holding the machine from the skin? I think that was her biggest cause of concern.
So I have my airbrush here. There's a lot of things to learn, and it depends on the airbrush that you're using. If you are using something similar to mine, where it's a cordless machine and it has like the set speeds already built in, this only has 3 different air pressures. So think of it this way. Let's say someone turns on a hose, okay, and they're spraying it, kind of like you're lazy. You don't want to go all the way to the rose bushes, but you know that they need to be watered. So you're standing way over here, that kind of a thing. So let's say someone turns a hose on full blast, puts their finger in it, it's spraying everywhere. If you're really close to that hose, you're going to be soaked, right? But if you are far away from that hose, it's going to be more of a mist. So air pressure is just like the pressure of the water. You need it to be really, really light in order for it to be nice and misty and not start dripping down the face. So if you do have an airbrush at home, you want to make sure that the air pressure is right for you. Everyone is going to be a little different. Here's why. I have dry skin. If you spray me with this on full blast, my skin's going to soak it up, okay? But if you have really oily skin and you full blast somebody at the highest rate with the most air pressure, their skin's not going to absorb what you're putting on them. So what's going to happen is it's going to start to drip. So if you have really dry skin, you can take a higher air pressure. If you have really oily skin, you need that bad boy to be on the lowest air pressure setting possible. And you always want to be in an area not super close. Like if this is touching my face, you kind of want to be, I'd say, about there, like 6 inches from the face. But again, how far you are and how close you are to the face is dependent on the air pressure. So I'll do a little highlight over what I got. Let's see. So as you can see, I'm on air pressure 2. This is the highest. I'm going to go down to 1 because I don't really need a lot. I already have my makeup done. I'm just doing a little highlight. You want to stay somewhat, you can feel the air. So that helps too. You can see it when I put it on my hair. You can see what it's doing. So you can feel the air, gauge the air pressure, and then you want to stay a little bit away, and you want to make sure you're holding your hand and going in circular motions. And this doesn't matter what kind of airbrush you have. If it's like a drop feed, a bottle feed, or if it's one of these bad boys, you want to be circular motion so you're not drawing lines on your face. There you go. You can see I had added a little more coverage. To my makeup. Any more questions?
I don't see any more questions coming through. So if anybody does have any questions, by all means, please feel free to drop them into our DMs at Blushington. I also highly encourage everybody to go follow Sloane. We did drop her Instagram handle in the chat as well. That's at The Glow Pro. And remember, the and glow have a dot between it. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Expect that post-class email your way. It'll include the discount offer. And I think this is it until next time. So I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their weeks. Spring is right around the corner. It's the perfect time to try out some new makeup tips. Anybody who is getting married anytime soon, I would highly encourage you to refer back to this video recording because it will be made available publicly on our YouTube site as well. So again, thank you so much, Sloane, for everything. And we'll see you at our next class.
Bye, guys.
In just 25 hours at the Blushington Academy, you'll be ready to increase your earning potential and become your own beauty boss. Blushington Academy is valuable to self-taught makeup artists and for those that went to school and graduated. Blushington is an incredible place to advance your career.
The Blushington Academy is giving you all the industry secrets, tips, tricks that they know, and they are giving that to you in that 25-hour course. That's priceless.
What surprised me as a new makeup artist was all of the work that went on behind the scenes. The skills I learned at Blushington Academy would have come in handy 10 years ago when I first started my career.
Along with the Blushington Academy, you get your own Blushington kit. The kit is curated by their artists, so you get this amazing kit that you are gonna use on every single client. Realistically, what you pay for the course, you're getting in the kit.
When I first saw the kit, I was like, wow.
It's rare to find a makeup academy that provides such luxurious products.
So to turn up our look, let's grab our eyeshadow palettes and look at the color choices that we have. I love this palette. The colors are so vibrant and so beautiful.
You are so overwhelmed with where do I start? Where do I begin? How do I get my name out there? Blushington is behind you and they are gonna help you do that. You are a featured certified artist on their website. So if you're in Kansas City, Missouri, people can book you, brides can book you. Having a huge company like Blushington behind you, that is something that when you go to another school, you don't get.
Having a shop-in-shop at Blushington is going to be such a game changer. I'm always recommending wonderful products to my clients, and it's going to be so nice to be able to help them purchase products that I stand behind, and it's going to be nice for me because I'll be able to make a little extra income.
You educate your clients, you use the products on them, and they have an option to buy directly from you, from Blushington, so that way that's commission in your pocket. Why did no one else think of this? It's amazing.
Loneliness of the career can really get to you because you're essentially an entrepreneur building a one-person business. But with Blushington, I could create community and rely on them for encouragement and for business matters. I honestly feel that this course is an amazing value.
You'll have a lifetime access to a new group of makeup artists, so you'll always have someone in your corner supporting you and there to answer any questions that you may come across in your career. There are so many things that we have to learn the hard way, especially as freelance artists. Blushington Academy takes away some of the pains of growing.
If you are just starting or if you've been doing it for years like I have, you can never stop learning. If you are getting ready to sign up for the Academy, just know it is just the beginning of your career.